The Labour Party's spies infiltrate Boris Johnson's government, and anti-Tory civil servants take revenge on Dominic Cummings. Well, for a long time on this channel, we've been talking about the establishment and how unnecessarily arrogant some of them are at times, thinking that they are better than ordinary people, and so they should decide for the rest of us. Now, this is not really about being left-wing or right-wing when it comes to the Whitehall machine and all the bureaucrats. It's specifically about statism and authoritarianism, as opposed to trusting ordinary people to make their own decisions. Now, there's a story in today's Mail on Sunday by Glenn Owen talking about how Boris Johnson's officials, some of them, have been revealing that there are currently some Labour sympathising spies in Number 10 and Downing Street to disrupt the system and the operations. And this also goes back to the whole Dominic Cummings saga over the last couple of years, because when Dominic Cummings was appointed straight after Boris Johnson became a leader and prime minister, one of his tasks was to do a bit of a shake-up in Whitehall and in Westminster Circle. Now, obviously that didn't go completely too well because the establishment defeated Dominic Cummings, but this kind of, since then, it's kind of escalated because we now have more information. The allegations are now more targeted when it comes to the situation in the government. So they are saying that hunt for Labour's Downing Street moles, network of civil servant spies are feeding information to Sir Keir Starmer's team to try to destabilise the government. This is according to senior Tories who have claimed this. And now, one aspect of it is that they are Labour sympathisers in a sense that they are anti-Tory or anti this current government. Some of them could perhaps be Labour supporters, some of them could just be anti-Tory. So that's one part of this issue. But then there's also this current lobbying scandal that's going on, all the leaks coming out of it. So they are talking about how the people who've been leaking all this information, the civil servants, did it on purpose to allow Labour to paint it as Tory sleaze, even though it's not really a Tory problem. It's an establishment problem because the Labour Party have done the same things, and all the major parties have always been involved with a lot of various scandals, from expenses to right now lobbying. I mean, the Labour Party are still going hand in hand with trade unions when it comes to lobbying, so apparently that's okay. So this is it's sabotage that, all the operations that we've had. They're talking about an example of the Brexit negotiations, how all the leaks were there to disrupt the negotiations, to actually make it easier for the European Union to have leverage over us. So that's one kind of part of this whole operation. Now, these allegations, as I said, are targeted specifically because of Dominic Cummings' obviously task and role when he was in government. They're saying that the Tory spy hunters believe that a cell of Labour supporters centred on the Cabinet Office was activated last year after Cummings declared that a hard rain was coming for the civil service as part of the planned reforms. So they're saying that they were always there, and then the moment Dominic Cummings announced that he wants to do that shake-up, they decided to start sabotaging things, and including the leak of Dominic Cummings' trip to Durham during the first lockdown. And now, of course, at the end, while Dominic Cummings took down a few people with him, a number of civil servants, including the head of civil service, Sedwill, he himself lost the battle at the time. Because they're saying that initially, when Cummings started his operation, the cabinet secretary, who's the head of civil service, Mark Sedwill, had to go. So that was the first target and victim. He was replaced by Simon Case, who used to be the private secretary to Prince William. And then there were also a number of others, including Deputy Cabinet Secretary Helen McNamara, also when we had the two top figures from the Home Office and Foreign Office, Sir Philip Rodnam and Simon MacDonald. Those two also left because of this shake-up operation. Now, everything that Dominic Cummings did for about a year or so came back, and the establishment took their revenge. First, they leaked the information about Dominic Cummings' trip, and then they also leaked about the Brexit negotiations. Then since the first lockdown, they've been leaking information about obviously the test and trace, and now the vaccine program and the passports and everything else. Now, these are some of the policies that I listed. I don't support either, but I'm not really in favor of sabotaging government from within by using the establishment, that's kind of a bit dodgy. I'm all pro transparency and scrutiny, but not when it comes to the establishment attacking the establishment. That's also a bit of a dodgy area. Now, last night, one of the senior Tory sources said to Glenn Owen that it is very unusual for civil servants to leak material directly to the media, but it is less unusual for them to pass it to political parties. Well, this is the world we live in. They can then disseminate it in order to cause maximum damage. Labour seem to know a lot about what is being discussed inside the government on issues such as these new domestic immunity passports before they were even announced. So that's the thing. We heard about the potential domestic passports and the details. Specifically listening to the likes of the Mirror or the Guardian or the Independent, who were leaking about this and were talking, discussing them, because they were receiving all this information. Now we know that everything that was done by certain people, there was some sort of agenda behind it, and now this is the whole point about this lobbying scandal as well, the ongoing David Cameron saga. Because whilst David Cameron himself, he got lucky because he didn't go too far to actually break any code of conduct, it's opened the door to like a whole new level of chaos that actually is going to bring down some of the same civil servants who've been until now running the show. So whilst they've been taking their revenge on Dominic Cummings, they themselves are going to be in trouble for some time because of this lobbying scandal. So there's this issue that we have, and I'm going to keep you guys posted on this because over the next few days we're going to have more updates. But in the next video, I'm going to talk about another part of the establishment, the mainstream media, and specifically the state-funded, taxpayer-funded BBC that decided to, as part of a satire or comedy, make a very unnecessary and not really accurate anti-Israel joke, which did not go down well. And then they received a lot of complaints. We're going to talk about that in the next video, as well as talking about Nicola Sturgeon's SNP government, who are trying to brainwash kids when it comes to the history of the UK. Not necessarily what Scotland have done in the past. It's always been England's fault. So it's the UK's colonial past that's the problem. So Nicola Sturgeon plans to brainwash kids with new information. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel to get that video as well. Make sure that when you subscribe these days, YouTube have been quite difficult. So you have to click on the notification bell next to it. Otherwise, our videos are not really being suggested or recommended on your homepage. So make sure to click on the subscribe button and the bell and click on all, not personalized. And if you have not received our newsletter this Sunday, if you're a member of the channel, you have to sign up for free. The link is on the community page on YouTube. And you can, if you're a member of the channel, you can sign up for free to our new weekly newsletters. Today's special guest contributor was Douglas Carswell, the co-founder of the Vote Leave campaign and former member of Parliament. If you're not a member of the channel and you want to become a member, then check out the link in the description or find the join button next to subscribe. Thanks again for watching. I'm Tousi, and I'll see you guys in the next video.